Robert Plant's crotch bulge. Documents with blacked out lines. Welcome to Rock and Roll Conspiracies. Conspiracies.
Hi there, I'm Colin, aka the Tone Wizard, and I hope you're doing very well wherever you may happen to be. Welcome to Rock and Roll Conspiracies, episode number 3, in which we discuss actually the several conspiracies surrounding Andrew WK. If you're new to my channel, please check out some of my other stuff, like and enjoy this video, and subscribe to the channel if you feel like it. So off the top of my head, what do I remember about Andrew WK? I remember he was kind of around during the time when there was a lot of frosted tips. There were some boy bands cropping up. Rap rock was kind of coming through, which I absolutely hated. I do remember his album, I Get Wet, which was his breakthrough release from 2001. Featured the singles Party Hard, She Is Beautiful, We Want Fun, Fun Night. There's definitely a theme going on there. He was like a fun party rocker. And I do remember his videos on MTV because they seemed to just be, they were partying, but they didn't imply any kind of drug use or bad behavior. It just seemed like a bunch of, good-hearted people getting together to party. Factually, I will tell you that Andrew Federley Wilkes Cryer was born on May 9th in 1979 in Stanford, California. He's 43 years old, and his father's a noted professor. He was a guy who would perform in a white t-shirt, dirty white pants with long, usually wet black hair, and his music was party-themed and mostly positive. So what could possibly go wrong? What are the conspiracies, and I use the term conspiracies, plural, because there are many on the internet surrounding Andrew WK? Well, a couple of years ago, I found a Reddit thread. I don't know what I was doing. It was late at night. I was drunk, maybe lonely, but I found a Reddit thread, and it suggested that the person who you see as Andrew WK now is not the same guy that you saw dating back to 2001, that there are multiple Andrew WK. So that would be the first one and the most popular one, I think. The second conspiracy would be that he was created by record companies, and even going so far as to say that he was created by Dave Grohl and a record company. We'll get into that. That's very weird. The third conspiracy is that there is somebody named Steeve Mike who was perhaps a creative genius behind his creation, perhaps a ghostwriter or a co-writer for Andrew WK, or somebody that worked with Andrew WK to help create the image or the persona, the artist, whatever you want to call it. And the fourth conspiracy, and believe me, I could go on, is that he is somehow linked to the occult, Aleister Crowley and all that. Let's take a look at the conspiracy that there are multiple Andrew WKs. The idea that the Andrew WK from the early 2000s was at some point swapped out with another Andrew WK, or maybe even multiple Andrew WKs. The event that triggered this conspiracy theory was a show that Andrew WK performed at, or fucking did he perform at, in 2004 in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I found an article on metalinsider.net, which is fantastic because it was written by the guy who booked the show. It's a first-hand account from Dan Rodriguez. It's a recollection of his in 2010. So this is about 5 or 6 years after the event. So I'm going to share a link to this article if you want to read it, and the other stuff that I'm going to do, that'll be down below in the description. So from the article, at the December 18th, 2004 concert, it was actually the 17th apparently, in New Jersey, audience members and security staff claimed that the person singing on stage in Andrew WK's signature white outfit was not actually Andrew WK, but somebody dressed up as him and playing his place as the front man. Now, I can summarize what Dan Rodriguez says with a quote from the article right below. It says, I booked and put together the WSOU show during my tenure as program director of the station that year. So this was a show put on for the college radio station. Here's what I know. I can neither confirm nor deny any of the above, but that shit was weird, and neither I nor WSOU were involved in any such conspiracy exists. So you can go and read that article, but basically Dan says that some weird things did happen during the gig. I think the show was cut short without explanation. I obviously haven't been able to find any footage or audio of that event or any other first-hand accounts of that event, like would be useful to hear from these backstage staff or security people. It'd be useful to see what they saw that led them to believe it was a different person. It would be useful to see if anybody in the audience has any idea. If you're watching out there and you were there, or you have a Reddit thread or something you can share, please do. I just thought I would share with you a little photo collage from a Ranker article that I read that you should also check out, and will be linked in the description below. It has a little montage of photos of him that you can see over the years, and yeah, they do look a little different. But let's take a look at a photo of me with about a decade apart, or a couple of years apart right now. Yeah, everybody looks different as they age. People go through different shit in their lives. If you drink a lot, you get kind of bloated out. You get a couple of these like the old fucking Tone Wizard here, sucking back the IPAs. Maybe Andrew enjoyed his success. Maybe he diverted from his positivity. Maybe he found some Peruvian marching powder, lost some weight, gained some weight, discovered a burger joint close to his house that he just couldn't walk by without going in and ordering up a big fucking burger or something. I don't know. Who knows? People change over time. You can take a look at the photos from the Ranker article for yourself and decide. Now, what I will say in terms of, would it be feasible to replace him? Well, I think it would be, because he did have a very defined look. White shirt, white pants, long hair, often draped over his face. His singing was definitely proficient, definitely sounded good, but would it be outside of the realm of possibility to think that maybe you could find somebody who kind of looked like him and who could do a passable job of his performance? I think it is possible. There's a 2015 interview that Andrew WK did with Larry King that's pretty good, because he addresses the idea that the person you're even seeing in that interview isn't the actual Andrew WK. And at one point, Larry King has the bright idea, well, why don't we just call up your dad and ask your dad, because his dad is a noted professor.
One person who could answer it and end it all would be your father. All he has to do is say, this is my son who I raised, and he's Andrew WK.
That's a very good idea. I only wish.
So why doesn't he just step forward and end all those blogs and rumors? And
because he's probably in the restroom right now. Otherwise, we could get him on satellite, and he could clear all this up.
Why hasn't he done it?
Well, probably doesn't want to have anything to do with a lot of this side of my work, which is best just ignored. Not that you shouldn't have asked about.
In the interview, he also talks about how maybe in the past he'd given some answers which didn't help him out in the situation. And I'll put a link to that video down below, and you can go watch the full thing for yourself. The second conspiracy that we're going to get into is that Andrew WK was created by record companies or record executives, that he's not a real artist, he didn't come about things organically, and that he was slapped together by the record industry just to shove something out and say, here you go, you fucking people, listen to this shit. I'll fairly say that I think most artists around that time that you'd see on MTV or up here in Canada, Much Music, or that you'd hear on the radio, to a certain degree, I think everything that we were listening to back then was put together by the record companies in some way, because at that point they were still making a lot of money off of artists, and obviously it was in their best interest to shape whatever they got coming through the A&R people into something that they thought would be generally palatable for everyone. So I think to a certain degree that's probably true. Now, going into wild territory, there are people who believe that he was a creation of not only record executives, but of Dave Grohl. And the idea being that Dave Grohl concocted this persona and a bunch of those songs, and he felt they were too corny or campy for him to present in the Foo Fighters or as a solo artist himself. And also, he kind of looks a little bit like Dave Grohl. And I'm just going to stop this right there, because I think those are the only connections. I think Dave Grohl discovered Andrew WK at some point in the 2000s and brought him out on tour, or they did a co-tour. I don't know exactly what happened there, but that seems to be the only real evidence, if you want to call that evidence. Oh, he fucking looks like Dave Grohl. Maybe he is Dave Grohl. How could there be a guy who's just up like, party hard all the fucking time? No fucking way. So who the fuck is Steev Mike? Well, apparently at some point in 2004, somebody calling themselves Steeve Mike infiltrated Andrew WK's website forum and started leaving cryptic accusatory messages on there. So I'll read you one of them here that I found on an article from Tonedeaf, which you should check out because it's great. I've been giving your fans bits and pieces, hoping that you'd come to your senses and stop trying to squeeze me out. Well, you haven't responded to my initial request, so you forced me to make threats. When you act unprofessional, so will I. I have no choice but to let the facts speak for themselves. I never wanted it to come to this, but I can no longer wait in the background and ignore your complete disrespect. Our choice to let you enjoy the spotlight while I create the magic leaves me almost helpless. You will not force me to expose myself until I expose you first. I have no choice but to let the world know you are a backstabbing fraud. So, I also found a response that Andrew WK himself put out on the website. Please don't believe Steeve Mike. I used to call myself Steeve Mike a long time ago, and it's nothing now. Someone is trying to confuse you and make me look bad, like a relationship gone bad. Someone is pretending to be me and the Steeve Mike guy. I don't understand why people are close. I know you're reading this, whoever you are. Well, we'll find you. I've made the following decisions. I've now completely removed myself. The music is all that matters for all of us. That's what I am. I have the best feelings about all of it because I know it's right. We're stronger now than ever because of one thing. We're still going. Long gone. Sincerely, Andrew WK. So that response seemed to infer that this is some kind of a jilted business relationship, and I think I did read in the Tonedeaf article that it was some kind of business relationship that had been deteriorated, but to this day, as far as I know, nobody has identified who that is, or Andrew WK has never stated it himself. Andrew WK and the occult? Well, I found only really one article worth taking a look at, and I'll be honest with you, it's not worth you taking a look at, but I will put a link to it down in the description. I read through it. There was nothing there that I think is really interested in bringing up. I think anytime you get somebody who's successful, who's shrouded in a little bit of mystery, and then other conspiracies, why not fucking throw the occult into the plot? Why not throw the Illuminati in while you're at it? I'm frankly tired of reading these things, and I definitely don't want to waste time talking about them to you fine people. So check it out if you're interested, but I'm fucking not. Aleister Crowley is Dave Grohl and Jimmy Page. There's a French farmhouse. You can find it all. It's a French farmhouse buried under an English castle. What are my conclusions about all of this? Well, I should probably spend more time with my family and friends. I think they'd get a lot out of that. All kidding aside, could there be multiple Andrew WKs? Could he have been switched at some point? Yes, he absolutely could have. I think so. Was he? I don't know. The only reliable first-hand account that I could find on the internet from the guy that booked the show says that it was weird, but he can't confirm or deny anything. Could you dress me up in a white suit, put a black wig on, spray me with a hose, and set me off about 700 meters from a crowd, and could I pull it off? I fucking think so, and I'm waiting for the call. Do I think he's Dave Grohl? No, he's not Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl is Dave Grohl. That's all he needs to be. If Dave Grohl wanted to play those songs, he's put out a metal album. He's put out a fucking disco album. Dave Grohl can do whatever the fuck he wants, and if he wanted to do that, he certainly would have done it. Was Andrew WK made up by the record companies? I think to a certain extent he absolutely was. He was marketed by the record companies who were making a lot of money off of a thing called album sales, which no longer really exists. So they have a vested interest in molding whatever comes through their AR department into something they think people will fucking pay for. So I think to an extent he was. I looked at the album credits on that I Get Wet album, and I believe he wrote all the music and didn't credit anybody on there. The Steeve Mike guy was allegedly credited as a producer, but I couldn't find that on Wikipedia, so maybe that's been erased. And regarding Steeve Mike, that's a weird one. That's a strange one. It could be possible that he was a ghostwriter or somebody from marketing or a business relationship that helped come up with the whole Andrew WK thing, and he was never properly credited for it, and he got pissed off about it. We don't know. It's also possible that Andrew WK made it up himself. If you kind of dig into that one, he said a lot of cryptic and weird shit about it. Finally, the occult thing, as I mentioned, it's bullshit. Now, I think I want to close this off by saying that who benefits from all this? That's what you when you see a conspiracy, I always say, who benefits from this being true? And the only real answer to that I could find is Andrew WK himself. Is there a chance that something weird happened and he grabbed a hold of it and maybe he thought he could use it to his advantage from a publicity standpoint? Abso-fucking-lutely. Did it get out of control after he kind of nurtured these ideas and morph into things? That's what the fucking internet is, right? You say Crowley, and 3 years later, everyone hates you. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. You can check out the other 2 videos I've done, Rock and Roll Conspiracies, on the channel, and you can check out a wider range of shit on the channel if you so feel like it. I'm Colin, aka the Tone Wizard, and take very good care of yourself. I'll see you on a later video.